There you go. You've answered another one of your questions at the beginning. I'll just go and have a cup of tea, shall I?
Milk one sugar for me, Jimbo, please. Actually, Jimbo, they're a weird bunch, this lot, because when you look deeper into their statistics, they've missed the second most big chances in the division this season, at the bottom of the table. We couldn't finish our dinner. I mean, this lot can't even get it on the plate. I've never seen statistics like that before in my life.
Hold on.
Don't get it, man.
I don't get it. Can you please explain that in English to me? The distance between really good and absolutely abject is just like two sides of a coin. Flip it, and which one are you going to get? You just don't know.
Kadir's our player of the season if we were choosing it right now, right?
Clark as well. I know he's been out for most of.
Well, therein lies the ignominy of the season, isn't it? That a geezer can miss 6 weeks of a 3-month season, which it's been so far, and still be in contention for player of the season. The town host bottom of the table Port Vale at Kenilworth Road on Saturday afternoon, and alongside me to look ahead to what is probably a must-win game for the Hatters is the Lutonian journalist James Cunliffe. Jimbo, is that right? Must win?
Yes, it is.
And we'll go through exactly why right after this intro. Hello everyone, welcome along to another episode of the Luton Town Supporters Trust podcast, the award-winning, longest-running Luton Town podcast. Once again, this season the show is in association with Solid, providing opportunities, provisions and assistance so our academy can fulfil their potential. As I mentioned prior to the intro, we are looking ahead to Luton Town versus Port Vale, Saturday, 3 p.m, Kenilworth Road. If you don't have a ticket for this one, no UK TV coverage of this one, so you'll have to find other ways to follow the game. I will do an instant reaction straight after the full-time whistle, which we'll get out to you as quickly as we possibly can. Alongside me, as always, to look ahead to the game is the Lutonian journalist James Cunliffe. Why am I nervous that bottom of the league are coming to town, Jimbo?
Because we know what will happen if this doesn't go right. I think from experience, there's got to be a bounce back from the Orient game in terms of performance. Certainly, there's a lot more fans going to be at Kenilworth Road, although maybe not a sellout because of that game. Who knows? They've got to put on a performance. They've got to look like they have sort of intent to win that game. Probably also got to learn from the Rotherham game, because I don't expect Port Vale to come out and play sparkling possession, free-flowing football and just be unlucky to be at the bottom of the league. They're probably just going to sit there and try and frustrate Luton, which is easily done. So there's a couple of reasons for you.
Yeah, it made me feel any better already, to be fair. I mean, right. No disrespect or anything intended here if you're a Port Vale fan or anything like that, right? Luton should win this game. If we're going to do anything along those aspirations that we've been told that there are at the top of the football club, we have to win this game, right?
Yeah. We're not yet in the playoffs, although it's absolutely bonkers to have played like that and Leyton Orient and be 7th just outside the playoffs. But we spoke about it ahead of that game, and that this lovely little run, even though it's all condensed and busy in the Christmas period, is against teams lower down the division. You've got to, put them really under the pump, prove your credentials, get into that mix, and then stay there, obviously. So, that's what you've got to do against a bottom of the division team. We've seen this division isn't much cop, really. It's a pretty poor division.
It's a bloody terrible division.
Yeah. So if we don't want to contribute to that any further than we did in East London the other day, then better start trying to prove it.
Yeah, this is a big game for a lot of reasons, isn't it? Yeah, you're right. We're still in this run. Listen, I did say if we could go sort of 5-1-1 from this run, then, we'd be right in the mix. Well, that's the one out of the way. So we've got 5 wins and a defeat in the 6 to come. 3 of these next 4 are at home. Christmas and 3 days after Christmas, sorry, Boxing Day and 3 days after Christmas, 2 home games. This is an ideal time to put a bit of a marker down for when Wycombe and Leyton Orient come. We've just seen Leyton Orient. When they come to our place, we should be turning them over if that's what they can offer at their place, Tuesday night. So there is an opportunity here, but we're in danger again, like we were last season when we had an opportunity of getting away from the bottom 3. We're in danger again of fluffing our lines, aren't we? Of missing our opportunity because of our own inconsistencies. And, you know, the last 2 home performances, the last 2 home results, actually performances in the main, maybe for the exception of the first half an hour against Bolton, which wasn't great, but Bolton were good, have been positive. Home performances this season have been dreadful. Results have been better than performances, but I think the last 2 performances, Huddersfield and Bolton, as a base level, you can take that. Certainly the last half an hour against Bolton, most of the Huddersfield game, we've got to be at that level, haven't we? We've got to show that Tuesday night was just too many people, nowhere near their level, and that hopefully those people come to their level. But you know what? Some of those people shouldn't get the chance to come to their level because it's time for others to prove that they've got that level about them.
I mean, that's the main thing for me. Is who gets in that team sheet to start the game. It's now becoming quite apparent that some players are out of form or not playing well. I mean, you could say that about many players in that team if you're just looking at the Leyton Orient game. But if you take it over a larger sample size, then there is. And the thing is, we've got the options now. We spoke about it in the last podcast. And when you've got those options, it doesn't really wash eventually when they aren't utilised. Particularly,
Well, when you're not winning, in particular, isn't it? I
well,
mean,
yeah,
if we're winning and people are off form, well, then you kind of take it on the chin because eventually they're going to find form because wins will breed confidence and all that. I don't think this is a confidence problem. I certainly can't be a confidence problem. I've just mentioned the Huddersfield and Bolton games were perfectly acceptable. And most of the people that were culpable on Tuesday night didn't play in either of the 2 cup games or significant roles in the 2 cup games. So it can't be a confidence thing. It can only just be too many people had the same bad night at the same time. But we can't afford anyone to have it over this Christmas period because the games are just too relentless. I mean, by the time we've been to Doncaster, I think that's another 8 games from now, and it's only like 4 weeks from now. It's just rat-a-tat-tat.
it is that. So you've got to utilise the squad well. And if that was sort of an idea of the first team at Leyton Orient, then that's probably got to change now to maybe the first team needs a different mix because things aren't clicking. And obviously that's the magic formula everybody's looking for, isn't it? To find something that clicks. And you can go with experience, but when experience isn't working, maybe something different. You talked in the last podcast about the chaos of Lasse Nordos, and he probably does provide that up top. The goals, we're still not sure. Probably not. He's had a couple of one-on-ones over the appearances he has had and hasn't put them away. But there have been many a striker and that have not scored as many goals but have been valuable to the team. And the prime one might be Emil Heskey, who's a foil for Michael Owen. Not saying we've got a Michael Owen knocking around or anything like that, but that potentially could be one option. But I think you're also looking at the back. You're looking everywhere actually. There was not enough play through the middle at Brisbane Road until Clark came on. Well, there's a solution. The wing play that we had was not as devastating as it could be because those players weren't starting. Well, there's a solution. The captain made mistake after mistake after mistake, and there's defenders, centre backs galore. Particularly if you're going to play back 4, there's a solution. So it is all there up for grabs. But I think that first sight of the team sheet that we get on the Saturday might dictate the mood somewhat, unless they come out firing.
Yeah, the old marquee might stay a bit busy on Saturday if that team sheet doesn't go to plan. That's for sure. Let's touch on Port Vale for a short moment. At the bottom of the table, rooted to the bottom of the table, missed their game in midweek because of a waterlogged pitch. They were meant to host Bradford, so who knows how they'd have done in that. Actually, Jimbo, they're a weird bunch this lot because when you look at when you look at it on the face value of it, they've scored 11 goals this season, which clearly isn't particularly great. But when you look deeper into their statistics, they've actually got an XG in total this season of 23.2. So they should have scored 23 goals from the chances that they've created. They've scored 11. Well, that tells you that their forwards are making ours look like, peak Lionel Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo. But these numbers have a habit of coming together. As I've mentioned when we were in this situation last season, they have a habit of coming together. And let's hope it's not Saturday that it does come together.
Mm.
But maybe they're not as bad as what their league position looks. They clearly don't have a problem creating chances. They should have scored 23 goals, which I think is one more than what we've got. I think we've got 22 goals in total this season. But what makes it even more weird is they've missed the second most big chances in the division this season at the bottom of the table. So creating their chances doesn't seem to be an issue. I mean, I mentioned 2 podcasts. Was it 2 podcasts ago? No, the Fleetwood podcast that we couldn't finish our dinner. I mean, this lot can't even get it on the plate, can they? It's just, I've never seen statistics like that before in my life. 11 goals, should have scored 23, and they've missed 33 big chances this season. So if you think that the goals are a big chance, they've scored a quarter of their big chances this season. And for a third level team of footballers, I've never seen it before.
Well, you've just answered your earlier question as why you're so nervous about this.
I think it
Because,
is.
well, Luton have a frequent penchant for giving struggling players their flowers, don't they? And if they're that strike force of getting chances but not taking them, then that would lead you to be a bit nervous. I mean, certainly, we could point to many examples, but you could just go up to Tuesday on Brisbane Road, and the fella that scored has been out for 2 years, gets a goal. So it's it's one of those that doesn't really feel like a fluke anymore. It just seems like something that is gonna happen.
I'm so glad you didn't mention that in that podcast, that review podcast, because I was down in the dumps enough as it was without hearing that a geezer's been out for 2 years and scored against. He came off bench, didn't he, for the Coroma who got the broken jaw. I mean, I don't know. You could put this down as the missed big chance derby, couldn't you? Because we're more than happy dance partners when it comes to missing big chances. We are, aren't we? I mean, last season in particular, we had these sorts of numbers, didn't we, for missed big chances missed. But I don't know. The good thing is, well, the other weird thing is, right, they've actually, in terms of the amount of good chances that they give up, they're the second best in the division defensively. Only Bolton give up less better chances than what they do. So XG against. Port Vale is second. Yeah, they're bottom of the table.
Hold on.
Don't get
Hold on.
I don't get it, man.
I don't get it. Can you please explain that in English to me?
Right,
How's
yeah,
that
you're
working?
you're right. Okay, so, obviously XG is what you create. XGA would be what the opposition create against you. The second lowest in the league have been Port Vale. So they should have conceded something stupid like 15 goals this season. They've conceded 21. Only Bolton should have conceded fewer than them. If everyone's quality of chances had gone into the level that they should have done, Port Vale should have the second best defence in the division this season, yet they're bottom of the table.
It's mad, isn't it? So the stats really don't prove anything, really. What a mad game football is, really. In
Absolutely.
in the reality of it, like, you know, we're we're sitting here talking about a team that didn't click at all at Leyton Orient, but you're looking at it thinking they should really. We're told all along, we're told all season there's a good group of players and they're doing well in training and stuff. It just doesn't click. And whatever that is happening, whatever voodoo is going on there, I hope that continues.
I mean, it's an easy Ian Holloway's missus to sort it out down their training ground, isn't it? I mean, these are the most bizarre set of numbers. I mean, I don't delve too deep into the opposition numbers. We try and keep it on Luton, but those numbers just stood out to me. I mean, if I was a gambling man, and I'm not, you'd be betting on Port Vale to stay up because those numbers will come together at some point. And let's hope beyond hope it's not Saturday, because we really, really need the 3 points here. A couple of people to watch out for. Their top scorer with 4 of those 11 goals is Devante Cole, yes, son of. And, well, if he's he's obviously clearly not as accurate as his old man, hence all these missed big chances. But, we don't want him to turn into peak Andrew Cole in this game, do we?
I'm glad you gave that big reveal at the end there, because my brain was just going, Ashley Cole. He's a decent fullback, but you mean Andy Cole?
Andrew Cole, don't call
Not in
him.
my day, he wasn't. He
No,
was
well,
Andy Cole back in the 90s.
if he watches his son play and he's sat right near you in the press box on Saturday, you can have this discussion with him.
Bring it on. That's what people called you, Andrew, Andy. Don't matter. You're not playing. Is he a forward then, this fella?
Mm.
You can imagine if he goes and scores now.
He's the top scorer, but I suspect many more Luton fans will be worried about his strike partner, someone that we know from this parish in the past, Jaden Stockley.
Well, he scored against us before, and they so bloody hell. There you go. You've answered another one of your questions at the beginning. I'll just go and have a cup of tea, shall I?
Milk one sugar for me, Jimbo, please. Yeah, listen, I don't want to be nervous, right? But it was so bad Tuesday that I'm in that I need to see it before I can believe it mode now. I need to see that we've got it about us. I need to see these players show me their potential now. Because I still maintain they're better than they are better than what they showed the other night. A bloody Sunday League team's better than what we showed the other night. But they are so much better than what we're seeing.
Well, they are, because we've seen it. You talked about the Huddersfield game. That was very good. Bolton, pretty good. Stockport, we have seen it. It's just that the distance between really good and absolutely abject is just like two sides of a coin at the moment. You flip it, and which one are you going to get? You just don't know.
Yeah, I mean, between the height of our ceiling and the depth of our floor, you could get about 6 Eiffel Towers on top of each other, couldn't you? It's just, you want them two to come together an awful lot quicker, preferably the floor coming up towards the ceiling. But yeah, let's bring it back to us then, because it is all about us on Saturday. Whether they're statistically the worst team in the league or they're not, they are results-wise the worst team in the league. And most teams are going to beat them when they go to their patch, But they beat Barnsley. That's another thing that's worrying me, at Barnsley. And we know how well, if we're using that as a direct form guide, well, let's not use that as a direct form guide. But there's got to be changes, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're in that situation where it doesn't suit anyone for there not to be changes from that side on Tuesday. First of all, he has to make changes to tell, and I know he told it, and I know Jordan Clark came out after the game, and they all acknowledged that it wasn't us, it wasn't good enough, it wasn't acceptable, and they're the words that you want to hear. They're the words we wanted to hear after Barnsley. Forget the score lines, the performance levels were exactly the same. But you have to make changes now. You can't go down the Rob Edwards route last year of when he came out angry Rob, wherever it was, Norwich was it, and then barely made a change in the next game and all was rosy. You got to make changes now so that he's putting his stamp on it, that is, even though I've said it's not acceptable, there is now a sort of consequence to that level of performance, and not all of you can play the next game.
Yeah, I think so. I keep coming back to the fact that there's enough cover and enough people that are wanting to prove themselves that aren't getting the game that need to come in. I mean, if the cup week, more so the Virtue Trophy game against Exeter, I suppose, when you make 11 changes and they all perform pretty well, doesn't highlight that to you, then it should really. I think that yeah, you can't look at that performance and really try to drag many positives out of it.
No,
Really. So I think that's where we are, and it's just how many changes that they go for really doesn't help. I mean, if you listen to or you read social media, then there's two big ones that people want, and that would be Naismith and Yates. But I think that we talked quite at length about the wide positions in the Leighton Orient podcast and how important they are to have specialists there and not try and crowbar Jacob Brown in there. So conceivably could change half of that starting 11 comfortably.
Yeah, you absolutely could. Yeah, I do hope we keep with the back four because we do move the ball quicker with a back four. I mean, even the other night there wasn't too much messing about at the back. It was just long balls that were aimless and hopeless. Really, that was our undoing the other night, and then obviously dilly dallying on it. I don't think we can play Naismith. I just think we're in that position now where if people see his name on the team sheet, I said this in the last podcast, that is just just the word alone is probably going to anger them. And then the first time he misplaces a pass, or the first time he's caught on the ball, or anything like that, and people will just the angst will be getting louder and louder and louder. He doesn't need that. The team don't need to hear that, and fans don't need to go to the football to have to do that. Um, So for me, the back four, if all of these are fit, the back four and firing, the back four would be Bramwell at left back. He did nothing wrong the other night. And then Longwake Mengi at centre half. So you've just moved Longwake across from right back to where Naismith is.
So there'll be people screaming at you now. What about Makoto?
And no, I thought
Yeah.
Mengi was really good the other night.
Mm.
And he was really good at Fleetwood. I highlighted the passing that he did at Fleetwood, and of course he was really, really good at Stockport. Not too long before that, he's starting to get somewhere near where the Tedamengi that I would expect to see is. So I wouldn't take him out right now. I completely agree with Makosso. He would be the next cab off the rank now. If we need to replace Longwake or Mengi. But I think Mengi's done enough, and he's starting to show a bit of character. Mengi, that goal clearly pepped him up because he just looked a much more confident footballer the other night, albeit in a team where others didn't really help him out too much. But defending, he was absolutely fine. There was none of his passing that was a problem, and that was all good. And then right back, if he's fit, and I don't know the situation with him, I think Jack alluded to the fact that he was injured. But if Hakeem Adoffin's fit, I'd go with him. If he's not, then it's Rue Waters' time again.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be happy with either of those. They offer very different things. I think that probably for me, Rue Waters be the one if we're not expecting Port Vale to be potent, although you've talked about the numbers, they potentially could be, but let's say that they're not because that's where they are in the division and that means they're not winning that many games. Then to be more on the front foot, I'd say Rue Waters, but either or.
Yeah, the advantage a Dauphin would have is if we don't play this Walsh and Saville midfield, and I'm not, and I'll come on to that in a minute, but if we don't, a Dauphin can step into the centre of midfield and stop these transitions, which is where Port Vale are likely to want to hit us, aren't they, on counter-attacks? If indeed, as you say, they're going to sit deep, they'll have to offer something somewhere along the line, so it's most likely to be on counter-attacks or long balls in which a Dauphin's particularly useful in the air, isn't he? Won so many aerial duels in that game against Huddersfield the other night. It was untrue. I'm not playing Saville and Walsh alongside each other. It doesn't work full stop, but it's certainly not going to work in a must-win game against what we expect to be a low block.
Yeah, and you don't need to now because Clark's back, and who do you want in that low block situation, which we didn't have against Rotherham because he was injured? It was Clark. He's one of the few players that can operate in those tight spaces, which we were woeful at. The ball's bouncing off people's toes and chins and whatever, which happened at Leighton Orient until he came on, and then it turned the game. So, yeah, I would imagine he'd still stick with Saville, because he's been pretty much never present, even though you made the case that you thought his form's dipped a little bit. I would kind of like to see if they aren't going to pose too much threat. Walsh, let Lamine Fane do the running in that area, and let Walsh quarterback the situation. Hopefully, balls into the feet of Jordan Clark for him to do stuff, and balls out to the wingers who must change as well.
And balls into Fanny to commit men when he drives, commit someone out that Clark, or we'll come to the striker in a minute, can get a little bit of space, because that's what we didn't do in that Rotherham game, wasn't it? It was all passy, nicey. No one actually drove to commit someone out.
Yeah, and nothing adventurous enough to pierce the lines. As tight as they were, nothing adventurous like that. And I think you probably have more of a chance with Walsh than you would with Saville. But I kind of expect he will go with Saville for the experience.
Well, as long as it's only one of them, I'm not really that fussed which one of the two is. I would go with Walsh. I just think the last couple of games he's offered a little bit more when he's been on the pitch. And obviously it was his corner that we scored from the other night as well. And he had that free kick that set Clark up in the box too. But I'm not, as long as it's only one of them two, I'm not too fussed which it is. And I'm not really fussed which two of the three wingers it is either, whether it's Ali and Kadir and Morris, or Ali and Morris. I'm not really bothered because I'm comfortable that all three of them can do the job. So it's whichever two Jack feels like going with. I mean, if I had to pick, I'd go Kadir and Morris. But, if I see Ali on the left, then I'm not really that disappointed.
Yeah, me too. That's the two that I'd go for as well. I guess it depends how much running Kadea did in that game, but yeah, I
Young
mean,
lad, didn't he?
do we really want to risk not having Kadea in the last few minutes of a game? If he's, you know, I suppose that gives the options to bring him off the bench, but I think he's probably earned his place now, hasn't he? And his role in it. I think that gives people a lift. Just him being on there in the way that that you've got a goal somewhere, and it could be a goal out of nothing because it has been goals out of nothing. So, yeah, him and Morris for me.
I think also you got to recognise, I mean, the bar's not particularly high and the competition's not particularly strong, but Kadir's our player of the season if we were choosing it right now, right?
There's a case to say Clark as well. I know he's been out for most of
Well,
Wilshere's
that
tenure.
in
Yeah,
therein lies the ignominy of the season, isn't it? That a geezer can miss 6 weeks of a 3-month season, which it's been so far, and still be in contention for player of the season. That says it all about the season so far, doesn't it? I suppose you could say Kadir barely started a game, and yet he's part of it. And of course, Jake Richards is also very much in the conversation, as would Cohen Bramall be. But so he's one of them. So it's about time that if he is in that conversation as being our player of the season, surely it's time to let him cook.
yeah, I totally agree. Yeah, just get him in there, get him. He's clearly his confidence should be up
Yeah,
because of goals.
yeah.
But he's a young lad anyway, and
Well, it
when
is
they've
up,
heard
isn't
him,
it, Jimbo? Because he's got the confidence to try something.
yeah, and that's what we need,
Yeah,
adventurousness, because
risk.
if you don't risk anything, you end up with the Rotherham result. And in this one, we need to risk. You've got to work on half an assumption that you're going to be a better attacking side than Port Vale, but there's a clear way to frustrate Luton, and they could do that and sit back and low block the situation. But then you need adventurousness, forward thinking, forward passes, head up when you've got the ball. And he will do that. We've seen him with the ball at his feet drive into spaces.
You
We've
need
seen him take shots from distance, and you need players that are going to commit defenders as well. I think that if we are hoping to draw them out, I don't think that's going to play well.
no. That's not the film we're going to be seeing. I don't think. You also need someone who, in tight, pressurized situations in the box, has got that extra nugget of time to get something away, whether it's a pass, a killer pass, or a shot. And Kadir's definitely got that. And I mean, we speak a lot on this podcast, don't we, about confidence. Well, the one thing that you can do to help confidence is when a player looks confident, don't hamper that confidence by sticking him on the bench in the next game. And I know they'll make out that it's all fitness related, but the 4 games over Christmas, yes, there's no way everyone's going to be able to play all 90 minutes of them 4 games. But we're not at that stage yet. We've got Saturday, Thursday, and then we've got 8 days off before the Boxing Day game. So we can treat these 2 games as separate and go all out 90 minutes jobs. He's going to have to rotate all sorts of times between Wickham and Doncaster because that schedule's just bonkers. But we'll deal with that when we get to it. So yeah, Kadir and Morris if I was choosing. But again, if I see Ali's name on the team sheet, I'm not going to be too worried.
Also,
If I don't see his name on the team sheet though, I definitely want to see Ali's name on the bench.
yeah, I'd say so. Yeah, because he offers pace and he does look more positive in the last few appearances. Just go back on the Kadir situation, is if we're thinking long term, I know we've got the option to buy him at the end of the season, but if he carries on playing like that, you we want him to want to stay as well, and he will if he's enjoying his football and playing more and feels more part of it, I think as well. But also, if he's going to continue to prove himself to be as clutch as he is, that's a valuable commodity, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. I'm kind of hoping we'd stopped off at the Olympic Stadium on the way home on Tuesday night and sealed the deal then, to be honest with you, so that we sign him 1st of January, because surely there's not a world that we live in that we don't sign or don't try and sign him permanently. I mean, he is very much a success story of our season so far, and there aren't many of them. Centre forward, it's going to get, once you've looked down the team sheet and you've seen who the two centre halves are, so I think that's what most people are going to be immediately looking at. The next thing they're going to look at is the centre forward. Um, we've only got two. Well, I suppose you've got three options if you see Jacob Brown as a 9 as well. But I said it in the last podcast. I still don't think I'd want to put my money on Nordos converting a chance for me. But Christ, weird stuff happens when he's on the pitch that just doesn't happen when anyone else is on the pitch. It's almost like, do you remember Enoch back in the day where he didn't have a
Yeah,
Scooby what he was doing, so the defenders had no.
yeah,
We're in that realm, I think,
yeah.
and you wouldn't put money on him scoring any goals
He's been
either.
likened to Enoch Shawamni, isn't he? Lesson. I think that unpredictable element is going to be quite key, but also the fact he's so tall. If we can't go through him, then we've got to go round him and over him. And if we get in set pieces and stuff, he's going to be a menace. He was a menace at Leyton Orient. I'm, I'm, I fully expect they had half an eye on him in that final corner where Gid scored, because I had no idea why the keeper would be so rash. And sometimes if that's the case, he doesn't have to do anything but be there. But yeah, I think we're in that situation now where it's not clicking again. It's not working. So try something different. Because I think fans will accept that. You try something different. If then it still doesn't work, then you're like, oh my goodness, what do we do now? Sure, but 'cause I don't think we can keep doing the same things.
Yeah, and based on the comments that you guys send us, you'll get a lift if you see Nordos on the team sheet, and that's fine. And if he's clumsy up front, or if a chance goes a begging, we might just have to suck it and see, sort of thing, and hope that someone else around him scores like they have been doing recently, or that is put on a plate for him like that first goal against Exeter was, that that he won't miss.
Well, that was the blueprint, well, wasn't it? That he played that central role, had two flyers either side of him, and it worked a treat. I know the second one that he scored there was a bit fortunate, and somebody of his own making, but it still came from a cross from out wide that he tried to connect with. The first one was pure, you know, what I love to see. Wingman down the side, clipping it in, big tall man heads the goal. So that that is what we can expect. The other side of it, I suppose, is that he gets one on one and he doesn't convert, because we've had a few of those.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, I've not seen Port Vale too many times myself, but they did play Stockport on the box. Oh, probably 6 weeks ago now, a couple of weeks before we went to Stockport, and Stockport had a lot of joy with sort of shots around the edge of the box and things. Defenders didn't really close down. They're more defenders that deal with crosses. So maybe that's something. Maybe Clark and Fanny and the wingers coming in, they can have some shots from the edge of the box.
Well,
And
that's another reason to have
test
Kadir
them.
in as well, isn't it? Because if you give him a yard, he will have a pop. So that's another reason. But Clark as well, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. Physical team, Port Vale, very physical team. Listen, Darren Moore's their manager. He was one of the most physical Premier League defenders there was, not in a nasty sort of way, but you knew you were up against him whenever you watched his teams. He played against us quite a few times for Derby and the likes in the Championship, and teams generally reflect their manager, don't they? Ours doesn't yet, but that's only because Jack hasn't had his own imprint on this squad. But once he's had transfer window or two, I fully expect our squad to mirror Jack Wilshere as a footballer. Pretty much it for this episode of the podcast. Obviously, we'll conclude with score predictions. Luton versus Port Vale. Jimbo, how does it finish?
I'm not reverse psychology for the win in it here. I genuinely think there's only going to be one goal in it. So 1-0 Luton this time.
1-0 Luton for Jimbo. This is one of those that it's either going to be like that Wimbledon game right at the start of the season, right, where the longer we go, the ideas go well and truly out the building and we scramble something late on, or we get an early goal and
Mm.
flow, a la Burton or something like that. So let's hope it's the other one then, because Jimbo's taken the first option out of the equation. So we'll go,
Are you reverse psychology for the winning it then?
and my echoes are like, so we will go 3-0 Luton in the hope that there's an early goal that completely changes their game plan and we can have some fun after that. I'm hoping we've got the speedsters on. If we haven't got the speedsters on, I'll know my fate with a 3-0 long before the referee puts his whistle to his lips and blows kick-off, but you never know. 3-0 for me, 1-0 for Jimbo. Get your score predictions in a pretty much usual amount of time to get your score predictions in. And to help you with that, the leaderboard as of now is about to appear on your screen. And of course, if you get the correct score, we will give you a shout out in the review episode, which will be out with you on Sunday. We will record it on Sunday, out with you first thing on Monday. As ever, just to mark your card for next week, there is a Thursday night game at Reading. So we will have the preview to that game out to you on the Wednesday, as opposed to Thursday like it normally is, just to give you all the usual time and everything else. And then we'll put together a Christmas schedule and come out with that during that Reading review, which will be at the normal time next week. Anything else to add for Saturday?
Can we have some fun, please? Can the fun come back?
Team fun.
Team fun, yeah.
Team fun, yeah, absolutely. Please, please, well, it can't be any less fun than Tuesday night. And that is absolutely, it cannot be any less fun.
Someone did us
Tuesday
a
night.
funometer, actually. I should have got that out. Daz Fit, I think his handle is a little. Maybe I'll flash it on the screen if I can remember. I liked it. I liked
We
it.
can't use it because the needle snapped. It came off of the no fun side on Tuesday night.
I think it needs a few more sections because he did it in 3. But I think there's a wide range of things it could possibly be. Maybe we could show it and you can have some fun with it and suggest some.
If it started with depths of despair, then it's a good starting spot for Tuesday night, because that's where most of us were. Much better than that on Saturday Town, please. As ever, if you've got a ticket to any of the stands in the home end, get right behind the boys. They need our support. Hopefully they give us a lot more to cheer about than they did on Tuesday night. Thanks again to all of the folks at Marsh House, the proud new home of the Luton Town Supporters Trust podcast. We really appreciate all of your support, guys. We're in here quite a lot at the moment. So thanks very much for that. And to Sean Grant and the Wolfgang for our intro music. Until next time, which will be a review of what we hope will be a comfortable Town win against bottom of the table from Jimbo and myself. Come on, you Hatters. Right at it this time. Team fun.